thank you guys for all of the questions and the engagement and the dialogue. It makes me feel so good. This is totally why I do what I do. And I also think it's so great when we share with each other. So thank you so much. So this training is kind of a sneak peek into what I have kind of developed, the practice foundational elements. And there's 5 modules within this program. Kind of these are the first 2, which are about phone skills, the importance of phone skills. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. And then how to convert web leads. And so a lot of the questions that I often get asked and that we've been asked throughout this whole program is, how do I get leads? And then what do I do? And who should answer them? And is there a format? And I keep using the word rudimentary because it sounds simple, but do we all agree that hiring just a cute, pretty little face to sit at the front is not gonna cut it? We agree with that? And that's just what tends to happen, right? That we can't afford it, or somebody said yesterday, and I'll use this analogy, the tail kind of stinks at the head. So the leadership needs to come top down. So if you don't know what you want to be, if you don't know your vision and mission, somebody talked about training. Well, what is training? If you say you train, how do you train? What level of commitment do you put in? Do you invest in external? And if you do it internally, how are you measuring the success of that? So this is a place too, I mentioned cake, but if you don't have call tracking on your phones, I know Brian talked about it as well, it's really important. That should just be one thing if you go back to your practice. Please call your website company or your vendor, or if you're in the process of building that site or looking for a company, please make sure that that's an option. I think Weave was here yesterday. I'm still waiting to do a demo, but I think that program that they have in their phone is pretty impeccable. So that's pretty vital in terms of you guys tracking the success. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, I think Amy, right? Hundreds of leads were coming into a particular practice, but yet it wasn't resulting in the numbers on the books. And then you're like, well, why? What the hell happened, right? So this is just 2 vital things that are really important to pay attention to. Again, it can make or break your practice, and invest in the right compensation model for them as well. So I'd like you guys to just take a minute, because if you go back to your practice, it's probably not something you're going to do, and do a SWOT analysis. Does everybody know what that is? The strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Take a few minutes, write some things down as it relates to your practice. They can be aha moments. This can be a compilation of internal and external things. And when you guys do this exercise too, sometimes by doing this exercise, what comes out of it is your unique sales proposition. That can be unique value proposition, however you want to look at it. But those things are important, again, when we're trying to understand how do we compete. If you don't know what makes you different, and if you can't articulate that, you need to really be able to convey that message so that you and your team believe wholeheartedly with that conviction, we are the best. And this is why we're going to charge what we charge, and this is why we're going to do the protocols that we have. So does anybody want to share a couple of things? What would some strengths be? Anybody, let's just rattle it off, because I think it's important when you hear other people and you're going to, you might take something away from somebody else. What would some strengths be that any one of you guys have in your practice, or about you or your providers?
Our staff.
Okay, what about your staff?
We have a really good staff.
Why are they good? You need to get really specific. Like, she's an NP, I want you to be really specific, right? Here's the difference. And again, no offense to anybody, but there are some practices, I said it yesterday, it's not about filling a slot. People think I can go to Rebecca, and I'm sorry, what was your name? Kelly. And I can go to Kelly and I'm gonna get the same treatment. You will not. You won't. She could be an MA and you could be an NP. Is that a big difference? That is a freaking huge difference, right? I pay for value. An MA might be able to do it in some states, but your credentials, your schooling, your education, far superior. No offense to MAs, anybody. So I want you to say, right? Hello, this is XYZ Medical Spa. How can I help you, right? Oh, let me tell you a little bit about our practice. We have 2 nurse practitioners, right? Wow, that's a bigger deal than you're gonna see some lower end person, right? So I want you to get really specific when you talk about staff. Why is your staff good? What is their background? How long has she been practicing? She said 8 years. I want you to say that. If you have 2 or 3 people, I want you to use combination. We have 2 nurse practitioners and a PA, and together they combine about 30 years of experience in the aesthetic space. That is a wow factor to me. Wow, really? Wow, you're owned by 3 surgeons? Wow, those are wow things. So that's a great strength. Just dig deep a little bit more. Anybody else? Agree, 100%. But when you say training, training in what? Great. 100%. That's absolutely a value, for sure, yes. Continued education, yes. Anyone else? Results. Okay, how can you prove, right? Just by showing results. We have proven results. We're happy to show you. Excellent, great. What about strengths, weaknesses? Missing out on sales. Okay. So if you're missing out on sales, like you could elaborate that a little further, or you don't have to answer, but it would be like why, and in what department, and in what area, right? So that you can turn that into an opportunity to say, okay, I'm lacking here, but I can make it up over here. What'd you say, Kelly? Did you have something? Right, retail. Look, there could be a lot of weaknesses. Again, turn whatever's in that bucket into the opportunity. And then your opportunities obviously are right what they are. Where can you grow? Looking at the last presentation, where can you scale? What analytics can you go back and look at that you never did before? What could some threats be? Yeah, competition. Price, lower price down the street. I'm sorry? Debt. What'd you say? Debt? Yeah, sure. How much, right? No, you know how much, right? And how are we going to get around that? What'd you say? Yeah, employees. Yeah. So this is just a great exercise. And again, I would honestly, you guys, go back, have your team do it too. It is shocking, the information you get back. You might think things are one way, they think it's a totally another way. Or they're going to bring up things to share with you that you kind of didn't know. So somebody had said to me too, we don't really have staff meetings. You guys need to do that at least monthly. Okay, hey, staff, team, please have team meetings and make that really engaged. Show them, be transparent with those numbers we talked about. Have them do some exercises. Have them share some clinical outcomes with patients, what's working, what's not. You might have a provider who's great at acne and somebody who's not, right? But them sharing and learning from each other is very, very helpful. So take a minute or share out loud. What would you like to get out of this training personally and professionally? How many of you guys think you have a really good phone person right now? Yeah, of course you probably do. And for everyone that did not raise, do you feel that they need help? They're not that good? Have you listened? So I will reiterate that a lot. Because this is, again, the biggest opportunity. It's very simple for someone to say, hi, this is Lasky Aesthetics and Laser Center. This is Shanika. Can I help you? Right? They're going to ask a question. Oh, yes. Do you offer XYZ? Yes or no? That's the tendencies of those calls. The tendencies is just to answer the question. Do you have this? What do you charge? And you just give it away and click buy without that level of engagement that we talked about yesterday. That person, I would make them. Before you hire anybody, have them come into the practice. They need to sit and watch for a day. Make them answer the phone and listen. Stand there if you have to. Have them go on Real Self. So make a list of the procedures or tell them, this is what I do. I have them study the website 1 week in advance. That's their home study. Then I have them make a list of the procedures or the treatments that you offer and have them write a feature benefit so they get clear with that. Then I have them do role-playing exercises with me based on the typical phone calls that come in, and then listen to previous calls so they can start to understand, because the calls will be typically they'll be the same kinds of calls. And then I want them to go on Real Self so they can start to understand what other people say about a procedure, so they can start to develop their own dialogue, right? Because that language is so different. And it really elevates them. So again, talking about compensation, team goals are amazing. Certainly we can't pay somebody $30 an hour to answer the phone. Around that 20 to get somebody really good, 20, 22, I mean, it can vary, 15 on the low end. But if they have some team goals to hit, if there's retail sales that you can compensate them on at that 10%, because again, we talk everybody should be selling. If I check out, and even though the provider recommended some treatments, if there's oxygenetics or some other makeup or something else, get up off the seat and go out there. Kelly, how was your treatment? I'm so excited, thank you. I love the feedback. What did you like about it? Okay, so she did the laser and she recommended these products. Are you interested in some of our oxygenetic makeup? It's oxygen-based, post-laser's really good. Let me demo it for you. Go do that engagement, like a retail store. That's what they do. They're standing there with the perfume and the makeup, and it's so great, and then I want to buy everything, right? We probably all of us women in here, I could probably open up my own department store with how much shit we have, right? It's the same thing in aesthetics. And people, again, will do what you say. Even post the lasers, put the makeup on if you have it. If you don't even have that product, I would look into the product. It is so great. They use it on TVs, on movie sets. But again, it's breathable makeup, and it is so great immediately post. People look fantastic. So it's going to be successful if you engage in this with me and kind of, go back to your practice, look at your staff. And sometimes they are hard decisions. I get it, you guys. But having people sitting around that are just mediocre are not going to do you any bit of good. It sucks to fire people. I get it. But at the end of the day, we're in this business to be giving back and making people feel good. This isn't just a job. It might be to somebody not making some money, but you want people invested. And I promise you, when you go back and you tell them how important you value this role and how important you value that position, I do. I tell them, this is the most important position in this office, and it really is. Because when that phone call rings, it's not me answering the phone. It's not, now you can get a bad outcome with a procedure, but it's how you made me feel. I'm coming in because of that. And how much information and gathering you gave me versus just the price. So I went through this slide yesterday. We're really going to focus on the top two. Okay, we're all kind of clear. This is where the journey of the patient starts. And it starts with those web leads coming in, and it starts with the phone call. About 52% of the leads come in via web or via phone. So then you have to ask, what happened to the other 50%, right? So having a process and a plan and a protocol for this is really vital because it will make or break. It's whether the people are booking, and again, your intention is to build the database as well. Here's the other types of referrals. So in your software, all of this information, you should be very specific with your referral sources and where people go. Do you guys do that now? Right, so how'd you hear about us? So in the referral section, have a specific thing. You don't have to have every little Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? But you want to have, your high ones. And it doesn't even have to be Facebook and Instagram unless you're putting ad dollars toward that. It could just say social, but try to break it down as specific as you possibly can. Because when you run reports, it will be astounding where you see that they come from. So in the phone skills module, it's about training the team. It's about engaging your prospects, credentialing, scheduling, and what the follow-up process should be. So it sounds like we probably all have a method of answering the phone, right? The one thing I want you to take away is no one ever really uses names, right? Hi, this is Lasky Aesthetics. This is Terri. How may I help you? That part might be there. Hi, do you, I'm calling about Althera. Do you have that? No, we don't. What the hell? I want you to stop and just say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't get your name. Who am I speaking to? Oh, remind me your name. Maya, so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for calling. Do you see how that goes, how nice that feels? No one says, I'm so sorry I didn't get your name, right? And Maya, before we get started with the conversation, do you mind if I just write down your contact information in case we get disconnected, right? These are little things. They sound stupid, but they are not. And nobody does it. And it's not that hard, but no one does it. And then and again, practicing. I can only tell you what to say, but if you don't practice and watch what they're doing. Great, thank you so much for calling. How did you hear about us? Oh, fantastic, Real Self. What specifically on Real Self? Do you see how nitty I'm getting? Don't just get into the conversation. What specifically? Oh, you happen to see the ad. Okay, so you inquired about Althera. Is that correct? So you're interested in skin tightening. Do you see how I'm not answering nothing? I'm not answering her question, right? So you're interested in skin tightening. That is what it's about. If your people don't know what it's about, bye. You're losing thousands of dollars. They have to know, what is RF? What is ultrasound? What is cold? What is emsculpt? What's the difference? What's laser? Fraxel versus clear and brilliant versus thermage. They're all different, but somebody has to be able to articulate the difference and know the difference, because you could have something else to offer, right? And you don't want to lose that patient. Okay, so what body part is of interest to you? You don't even know. She just said, what if you just lost the call? What if you have something, what if she wanted body, but you were talking about face, right? You see how much information you can get? So skin tightening, what particular body part? Oh, do you want your décolleté a little bit more tight? Okay, great. You know, you asked about Ulthera. We don't have Ulthera, but we do have Thermage. Thermage works fantastic. It's radio frequency versus ultrasound. Would that be something you're interested in? Would you like to come in for a consultation? And let me share with you what's going to happen at our consultation. When you come in, we have several different modalities to treat you with. We really like to look at you as a specific patient and give you a comprehensive treatment plan. So I know you asked about one thing, but we have several other things that could benefit you. Would you like to book a consultation? Okay, then I want you to ask me. No one ever asks for the appointment either, right? And then I don't want you to say what's good for you, because that's an open end, right? Well, I don't know. I have to check my schedule. I need to call you back. I would like you to be very specific. How is Tuesday at 2 o'clock? Then I can say yes or no. But then you're going to give me alternate times. So the biggest takeaway here is just find a way to engage in dialogue like you're just talking to a friend. Get as much information as you possibly can. So what the best practices are, and I will put on my website, that will be at no charge, this 13-point checklist of the top techniques for phone skills that you can just download. But basically, patients make the initial contact. We said web and phone. I want you to answer the phone within 2 and 3 rings. People just let that phone ring and ring and ring. You can't do that, you guys. They'll just hang up. So 2 to 3 ring rule. And look at that number, how low it is. Only 25% of the people actually ask to book an appointment. If you don't ask for anything, even a raise. God, I remember trying to ask for a raise like years ago, and I was like, well, shit, I have nothing to lose, right? If you don't ask, you don't get. So pick up the phone by the 3rd ring, greet the caller, use the name throughout the call. People love to hear their own name, and it's just nice. Continue to say that throughout that conversation. Again, get their contact information in case you get disconnected. Immediately put that information into the database, even if they don't book. I said it yesterday. People are like, well, why would I put it in there? Well, why not? I mean, what? So you're going to get hundreds of calls in the center, but you're going to have a low database. You have to build that database. So again, if you have the right marketing plans in place, and it's called reach and frequency, and you're sending me newsletters or you're sending out information, I might book in a couple of months, not right then and there. So if you're going to put somebody on hold, especially if you have a new person that doesn't know, don't have them just bullshit through the answer. I would rather you tell them to say, I'm so sorry, I just started. May I put you on a brief hold? I want you to ask yes or no, and I'm going to go get that information for you, or I'm going to go get somebody that can help you with that information, okay? That sounds so lovely, right? Doesn't it sound nice? Again, recommend the consultation, provide times, but you provide the specific times. Before hanging up, again, ask if you can put the caller on hold, following up with information. Now, if they don't book, we'll get to the follow-up process, but if they don't book and they asked about something specific, what I would love you to do now that you've gathered the information is say, do you mind if I send you some information? I'd love to send you the link to our before and after gallery or a link to our website that talks a little bit more about that procedure. The more you can do to make it easy for me, I'm going to do it. And nobody's doing it. If you just get off the phone, all I'm doing is calling the next 5 practices, right, and getting information. And you don't know if I'm the price shopper, but even if I am, and that call with you was so wowed, I'm going to be like, God, that was awesome. They were so great. These other offices are just shitty and short and, told me it was $15 and I got nothing out of it. Okay, so it's active listening. We went through that layer model yesterday. Again, it sounds so silly, but if you can just listen more than talk, listen, engage, reiterate back what you think you understand, it helps deviate any misunderstandings, especially when it comes to treatment outcomes, so that patients aren't going to come back and go, that's not what I wanted, or it didn't work. You didn't hear me, that's not what I said, and it will happen a lot, more than you think. So credentialing, there's two types of credentialing. It's credentialing your practice and it's credentialing the provider. So these are some specific things that you guys should be able to articulate and write it down. I'm like, why is your practice different? And again, that could be the owner, years of experience, the procedures and services that you offer, anything that's going to make you guys stand out. How many years you've been in business, the specialty, the providers, collectively, again, whatever that group is, if you have that to offer in terms of your services and your providers doing that. Board certification. Now, a lot of these things aren't being said, but you mentioned over here about training, right? So if you have specific training, whether it's butt lifts, right? There's not a lot of people doing creative things, we talked about that, or you're doing hands, or you're doing things that nobody else is doing. Again, we talked about the combination therapy. Well, yes, of course you can go ahead and get the Clear and Brilliant down the street, but let me explain to you how we do it here at Lasky. And explain it to them, what you do, what they get. That is a lot of added value if I think I can go here and get it and walk in and leave, but if I can get a mask and an LED and some product and it's not even necessarily a package, but if I can get all that, where would you rather go? I definitely want to go to the other place. Okay, so let's take a few minutes, and I'd love to hear what you guys come up with, because I think this is great to hear, and it's also great to share. You know, that's really hard to distinguish yourself, but these USPs are really important. And your team has to be able to say it too. It can't just be you and doing this exercise. You have to go back and even ask them, why did you want to work here? What do you think about your job? How do you value your job? Why do you value what we do? Do you know what we do? What do you tell patients on the phone? Ask them. I mean, it's really amazing when you just put time and effort into what they think and what they feel. Does anybody even want to just share? We don't even have to take a few minutes. What would be unique to you? I know we kind of said it a little bit earlier. Anything different other than, yes?
Our office, we have registered nurses who haven't just done a C1, B1, but the rep, they actually been to the National Laser Institute.
Love it. Great. Okay. And then so what she said was, can you repeat it? Other than just, what did you say? You went to the National Training Institute, but.
Sometimes it's just a rep that's to have a company with the equipment to train people in our department. We have registered nurses doing the laser treatments, like laser hair removal and they went to the National Laser Institute and got training, right?
Yeah. Even that, right? We had some of our providers go, butt lifts were a big deal or becoming a big deal with Sculptra. It was the hype from a marketing perspective, and I'm like, God, okay, people, the Kardashians, when all that big bang was going on. And so we sent them to an external training. It was very expensive. And that's the other thing. We'll digress for a second, but if you are investing in your team to go train, don't get screwed. I mean, that's awesome, and you should. But if they leave you, you need to have some really tight contracts so they're going to pay that money back. Because it's happened to me, and it happens to a lot of people, and not that they want to leave just for any faulty reasons. It's just you're investing in wanting them to be different and better and good. So wherever you can, look at your business in terms of sending them to a course that's going to elevate their skill set is fantastic. So again, know your USPs, make sure you can articulate that, and so can your team. So do you guys know the difference between warm and cold? I mean, obviously I have it up here. What's a warm lead? A friend, right? A friend referral, patient referral, doctor referral. A warm lead is kind of somebody who's probably going to book. You don't need to sell me that hard. You don't need to do that whole dog and pony. You can, but I'm probably going to book, so I still want that level of engagement. And a cold lead, these are the harder ones to convert. But people have to know the difference. I was listening to a call the other day. I thought I was going to die. Somebody called, I swear. Somebody called and she said she wanted to come in for, I think it was Althera. $3,500 is what the practice charges. That's a big ticket. And the girl goes, okay, great. So we can't get you in for about 3 weeks. I wanted to shit my pants. 3 weeks? That's $3,500. Now, one, it's a problem if you have a 3-week wait list, okay? That means you have a capacity issue and you need to hire somebody else, okay? 2, you never say that. Never say that. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. When would you like to come in? Let me put you on hold and take a look at the schedule, and you better move some shit around. I mean, I am not joking. I swear to God. For the people who aren't charging, you're going to have a free person in there? No, you're not. You're going to put the paying person. So you make it work. You make it work. I mean, I tell everybody, anything over $1,500, you make it work. And then I want you to make sure you take a deposit, right? We talked about that yesterday. Anything over $1,500, take I think what's reasonable, right? $500 is reasonable. Now, they don't get it back. They can cancel and reschedule. It'll still get applied. But that your time is valuable. There's no time slot you're going to fit in that hour and a half or whatever it's going to take. And then keep a wait list. You want to keep people on that wait list and pull that wait list out every single week if you do have a wait time, okay? But you can't say stuff like that.
How long do you think is reasonable for a new patient?
Okay, so there's different schools of thought. Trisha's booked out about two weeks. There's different schools of thought, because if you think about, one of our owners was like, I mean, he's got like crazy celebrity patients. He's booked out 4 months. People tend to think, well, that's awesome. And I'm like, well, no, nobody freaking wants to wait for 4 months for some Botox, right? I think 2 weeks is about the max. If you start tipping 3, you got it right. Because they're not gonna wait that long. Mm-hmm. Any other questions on that? Again, so you want to be really cognizant and teach the difference with these kinds of leads coming in. And this is typically going to be on the phone, right? So scheduling appointment, again, that is the one opportunity other than what's happening in the consult room to get the patient in the door. This is what pays your bills. Leads pay your bills. Phone calls pay your bills. If you're not booking people and then you're wondering why, something's very wrong. So again, you want to look at the statistics. I said about a 70% conversion. Know how much business your website is bringing in. And if you have call tracking on the phone, that company should be able to give you a report at the end of the month, and it will even give you the name of the person, the time, the reason. You can click on that. There should be an external thing that you can listen to, and then you track that. So if 100 came in, you need to be booking at least over 70% of them. Now, if they're just looky-loos, that's a different story, and then that's a shift in your marketing efforts. So here are the things you need to obtain. Now, obviously, you don't need to do the date of birth and the address and all that stuff, but on the phone, I want you to get the top, right? Email, phone, first, last name, contact information, if you can. And even if they don't want to give it to you, when you start to say, I would love to send you some information, even if it's a packet in the mail, right? So think about surgeons, they do that all the time. So if you really want to go above and beyond and they're asking about a procedure and they're not ready to make a decision, I would love to send you a little bit of information in the mail. Would that be okay? Or would you mind if I sent you a link to a couple of things that you can look at on your website? And may I follow up with you in a couple of days? But again, what tends to happen is no one's trained enough, and they just say, it's 500, it's 800, it's 14, it's 3,000, click, bye. There's no camaraderie, there's no relationship building. I want you to just, again, stop for a minute. Tell me about you, about your center, about why you're the best, about why you're so good, and what I'm going to get when I come to see you. And then you could even say, well, how were the other calls? What did you like about that call? Do you get the mask and do you get the LED with that treatment? Ask me. If I say no, oh God, right? Sometimes it's just silly stuff, but again, it is just communication skills. There's a book by Robert Cialdini called The Art of Persuasion. I encourage you to read it. It's so good. Have your staff read it. I would have my team read it and then make them go through a chapter, right, at meetings, and then tell me what they learned. You have to put some level of accountability on your people. It can't be all about you, because at the end of the day, you can train, say I train for you. And then what happens? They're going to go back to their same way because they're not used to doing it. Unless you tell them, right, Terry's going to come in and train, and we're going to monitor the progress over the next 60 to 90 days. And we're going to listen to the calls together. That doesn't have to be a scary thing. But once people hear their own voice and hears when they hear themselves and what they say, it's really an aha for them. And they're like, oh God, I sounded like shit. I shouldn't have said that. It's actually the greatest tool ever, really, I promise. Okay, so confirmation. What's your follow-up or your confirmation process? Anybody struggling with people not showing up, no-shows? By the way, charging for a consultation fee significantly reduces your no-show rate. Nobody wants to lose out on money. So even if your software does it, which it should do automatically, right? So if somebody's booking the appointment, I want you to tell me, right? Okay, Maya, great. I'm going to send you a link to our patient portal. I'd love for you to fill that out before you get here. That's all your medical history, health history, and your cosmetic interest questionnaire. What that will do for you is save you time so we can give you the full 45 minutes. Remember the feature benefit? I just said what that will do for you is, I want 45 minutes. I don't want 20 because I had to fill out papers for 20. I don't want that, right? So tell me what I'm going to get. So make sure your software does that, right? And then if they don't, obviously you can give them paper when they come in. So then you want to, this is what I find works the best. You want to send an automatic reminder that goes out probably 3 days in advance. I think that's good. 5, I think, is a little bit too much. Then they kind of forget. So a text reminder about 3 days in advance, and then someone calls the day before. You're really cutting down on anybody missing the appointment. And if they do, you give that 24-hour cancellation notice, even though there's a fee to that. But then you might be able to pull out that follow-up list and get somebody in the door. This is how this response protocol should be. Like, you guys all said an hour. That is fantastic. Everything should be within 1 hour. It should be an automatic email set up by your provider should go out first. So it was an acknowledgement. Because heaven forbid, no one has a dedicated person to answer leads. It could just be sitting there. And you don't want that to happen. So you want to call, you want an automated email to go out, then you want to call the client within 1 hour. I don't ever want you to call and leave anything on the phone that they called about cool sculpting or a boob job or whatever, because you don't know where you're calling if it's somebody's house and it's private. But I want you to call within an hour. I want you to send an email immediately if I don't answer, and we'll get to the email template. Again, back to phone skills, the email etiquette is exactly the same. Some people just write like 1 or 2 lines. Hi, Rebecca, thanks for contacting us. You contacted us about a web lead, please call us back. What the hell? That is so crappy. Like, there's nothing nice about that. There's nothing personal about that. There's nothing acknowledging what I wrote in about, because you write in on the web lead, right? What specific thing that they're usually interested in. And then I want you to put that information immediately into the database. That should happen like in one shot. So if you are generating hundreds of leads, if it was opportune for you to have a dedicated person, it would be awesome. If not, try to delegate it to somebody who's going to have the capabilities to do that. So then you're going to put them in your patient management system, and then I find now that texting is becoming HIPAA compliant, people are always on their phones, you guys. So email could go in junk, they might not get the phone, but you could text a very similar message, and they respond so much faster. So then here's the process again. Some people just go, okay, when I ask, what happens after that? Do you guys have a process in place? So if you put them in the software and they don't call back, because here's what happens, right? I don't know, right? What if I did the lead? Maya could have called tomorrow. I don't know that. Like, there's no way for me to track that stuff. So you want to have either go back and look at some of the metrics that you can track if somebody booked that appointment, or you want to have a follow-up process, which I say 2 days, do the same thing, 7 days, do it again. At that point, no one has enough manpower, right, to continue to do that. But at 7 days, they're in the system now. And then we have some methods in place to continue to reach in frequency, right, continue to touch me with those newsletters or specials or email campaigns that are going out. People are 7 times more likely to convert, again, when it's in that 1 hour. If it's beyond that, again, we keep talking that I'm shopping and I could have booked in 10 minutes with somebody else if you waited.
Do you text from your personal phone, or is there software where you can text?
No, there's software now you can text. You can text through the software system. Yes, yeah. Personal phones, listen, I know everybody does it, especially providers, right? Because everybody wants to be so hands-on and so, tied into their patients. It is illegal to do that. Right? So just be cautious, be careful. I know everybody does it. Just be careful. Okay, we talked about that. So what you're going to get in the web lead is so much more information than you're going to get on the phone. But we talked about the level of shoppers. So the emails always need to have a call to action. I'll get into the script later. A call to action, when you write somebody back, you want to acknowledge what they wrote in about. You want to give them opportunity to book the appointment, and you want to give them information as it relates to the procedure that they asked about. So here's an example. I can kind of read it for you. Hi, Maya, right? My name is Terri with Lasky Aesthetics. Thank you so much for contacting us. We are happy to assist you. To ensure we provide the highest quality of care. We require all clients to come in for a 45-minute consultation. During the consultation, you'll have the opportunity to meet with one of our board-certified medical providers. You see, I did not say doctor, nurse, NP, RN. Don't say that because you don't know who they're going to go to, right, depending on your office. But I'm expressing board-certified medical provider to discuss your concerns, and from there they will determine the best course of treatment for you and develop a customized treatment plan that is specific to your needs. The cost of the consultation is $50. Our hours of operation are, boom. Please call our office and give us the best time that is convenient for us to reach you. We look forward to meeting you. Attach a video, attach something. Now, if people write in about something specific, cool, whatever it is, whatever topic, I want you to address that. This could be something that could be relatively generic, but you see how detailed it was. But if somebody wrote in, you'll get the people that are really just so genuine. God, I have really bad acne. I've suffered for so long. I've tried so many things and it's not working. When you get those patients, it's such a heartfelt thing. I want you to write back, hi Sherry, thank you for thank you so much for contacting us. I'm so sorry. Thank you for sharing, that you've been struggling with acne. When is there a good time to talk? I want you to engage in what that specific thing was. It just feels really, really nice. And then again, attach as much information as you possibly can to make it very simple for me to want to call you back. If I have to go search around and look up information, I'm probably not going to do it. And again, this just takes the level to this here. This is where we're talking about this Ritz-Carlton Four Seasons customer service. So best practices for email etiquette would be personalize each email to the client. Be professional in your dialogue. Again, what I tend to see is everybody's just very casual. It's a couple of sentences. There's nothing valuable about it. And especially in email when I don't get to hear your voice, right? I don't get to even, build a connection with you. We're just conversing words. There's nothing personal about that. So the more you can make it, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and why they're important to you. Give them specific options in terms of consultation times, and then obviously include the privacy notice at the bottom of your email if you haven't done that. Go back, you guys, go back, pull your data, look at your data. Well, I will be here, obviously, I don't even know, we got through that in about 30 minutes, so if you guys have any questions, thank you so very much for spending the last couple of days with me. I'm honored to get to know you and hopefully get to work with you, okay? Thank you so much.